Thanks, Brett. I'm a bit cheesed off at Brett because I thought today I'm going to be so innovative, I'm going to have the first moving PowerPoint. And he beat me to the pip with that, so I'm gutted. But one thing I must say, I'm so humbled. It is, when you stand back and you look at what has been achieved in the last 3 or 4 years, it's actually amazing. When, as Peter said, we started this, our heart was really to build South Africa and to build our industry. Because what you see is we always rotate the same staff. No bank or no institution can win on its own. It's impossible. Because when your people leave, where do you get them from? You get them from the other banks or other industries, or you grow them through the universities. But if the country doesn't win through this, nothing happens. And if we look at this conference, our first one was 200 people. And if I look at this now, Kirshni, by the way, she's the real boss. Forget about Rixie. It is she runs the show. It is actually amazing. There's between 400 and 500 people there. There's only standing room in a way. And in a way, we're building South Africa. I know of no other conference except Gartner that is bigger than this. And the difference is that is external consultants being flown in to tell you stuff that in a way you already know. I'm not knocking Gartner, but at least at this is we're sharing what we know. It is our people, for our people, talking to our people. And that makes me so proud of this. And I actually think you guys need to applaud yourself. There is... Like Bretta said, go travel the world. You will not find much of this. We are in a special place, in a special time. And that is really, really humbling. So when I found the real boss, which you, by the way, know is Kirshni now, I said, what do you want me to talk about? She said, you know what, Devops, all of that's fine, but talk about people. Talk about the culture stuff. So then I said, oh, okay, we'll do that. And so I'll talk about DevOps at the end. I'll pick up where Peter left off, where he ended off with people. I'll start with the people side. Okay, see, now I get the thumbs up. You know, I need the affirmation here. So the first opening statement is, I'm so sick and tired of Agile. So let me play you this video clip. Probably I need to do this. Did you guys see the picture? Oh, what happened? There's our... Let's... So when we started 3 years ago, all of the discussion was around Agile, because you can't do DevOps without Agile. You can't move into the future without Agile. But I'm so flippin' sick and tired of Agile. So, and why? Because we're busy with it. I think we've all made progress on it. So I'm just going to say one or two things about Agile. By no means are we even close to a properly, fully, like Peter said, we are not at the end of the Agile journey. But I think what is nice is to start talk about infrastructure, talk about the other things that will actually move us forward. So about a month ago, I had this really serious meeting, like really serious meeting. You guys know the guys on the letterhead, you know the guys with the big names at the bottom. I had to do a presentation to them. Now, I don't know if you know Standard Bank, but you walk in, you know, there's a big boardroom. It looks like the 70s spaceship. You know, you get escorted in, you talk to the chair, all of those type of stuff. So I was talking about our journey for 3 years in group IT, what has happened. Brenda was with me. And the way I framed it was around Dan Pink stuff. I think you guys all know Dan Pink. Purpose, mastery, autonomy. So I did this whole presentation on purpose, mastery, autonomy. You know, and they all told me, you're going to get no reaction from these people. They just sit there, make notes, smile politely, you know, and then when you walk out, they just talk behind your back. But they will be too respectful to say something. Okay, these people were wrong. So up goes one hand, Now again, I don't know lots of people. I told Brett I'm a deep introvert. I don't even go out of the house over weekends or evenings. Up comes his hand. I said, oh, this woman looks familiar. It's Geraldine Fraser-Moleketi, ex-cabinet minister. She says, I don't like, why are you talking Dan Pink? He's an American. Why don't you do something from South Africa? I said, yeah, I'm always talking about South Africa, so maybe I should actually follow her advice. So now I've changed all of my presentations, and it looks like this now. So, which, by the way, so this is what the South African government rolled out about 10 years ago for youth development. They also needed a frame how to make people and build youth in South Africa. And according to Geraldine, now I don't know this is true, but when you're there standing up, you say yes. She feels he stole it from, Dan Pink stole it from this, because this is actually from the American Indians developed this model. And what this model says is, around culture, around people, you need to have mastery, which, is the same as Dan Pink. You need independence, which is the same as autonomy, the same as Dan Pink. But then there's two other angles. It is we all want to feel part of a team, to belong to something, to belong to a brand, to belong to a family, to belong to a tribe is really, really important. And you can see it play out in our organizations. You have an infrastructure tribe, you have a dev tribe, you have corporate governance tribe, but you have all, lest I forget, you have an integration tribe. You have all of these guys. We all want to be part of something. And then also to build healthy societies and healthy companies, there needs to be a giving as well. It's not just receiving, it's also giving. So after some serious reflection, I actually like this model. So you guys are now the second group that's seeing everything framed in this type of thing. So let's start with the first one, mastery. And a lot of you guys have asked a bit about this. So mastery here is individual mastery, and we'll also talk about team mastery. Now, also when I ask around what I should talk about, people say, don't only talk about what you've been doing well. This is not a showcase. You need to share also the stuff that has failed. And that's hats off to Rixie there. He also said what they're struggling with, which is, by the way, everything we're struggling with as well. So there's no trade secret here. So what we've decided on mastery, for us at Standard Bank, it is really important to build skills. So the first thing we did is, and this is part of, and I want to recommend this to you, go see other companies, go speak to other international companies, is this is a model I actually got from Russia. It's called the Dreyfus model. Dreyfus is an American philosopher, but he says there's 5 levels of mastery. You start off as a novice, and you're advanced, beginner, competent, proficient, expert. Now, everybody looks at ING. ING also uses this model, so we're all stealing from each other, copy and pasting. But again, the mistake we made is we thought we're going to take every developer in the organization, infrastructure person, and say, for level 1, you need to have a degree. Level 2, you need to do all of the Cisco certifications. Level 3, you need to do all of the Agile certifications, all of that type of junk. It is so rigid, you need about a 200-page handbook just to give somebody career advice. And that's how we started. We screwed that up. See, I'm owning up to it. So it cost me about 2 months to undo that damage. And we made the rules so simple. So we gave each team the autonomy to come up with their own model. But what we've done for the dev side, so the dev side is roughly about 1,000 people if you take in contractors. We said novice is somebody just out of school, varsity, etc. The first 3 or 4 years of life where you still need to decide, how do I get up at 6 in the morning to be at work at 7? That type of stuff. Getting the right work ethic, work as part of a team. That is novice. Advanced beginner, I'm going to skip that for a while because that's a catch-all one. Competent, we said, if you have the ability to be a tech lead, where a team looks up to you and say, wow, kick-ass dude. And we left the rule as simple as that. If people look up to you, you are competent. Proficient, you are the best in the company. If you're the go-to person in Standard Bank, you are a level 4, and go-to person in the country is an expert. And we almost left the rules as simple as that. because then you can have decent conversations with people rather than what Cisco certification have you done. It doesn't take all of those things out of the equation, but it just enrich the discussion to be a bit more free in the way you interpret it. But what got us was then the result. So linking on to what Peter said, and you guys won't see this from the back, it tells us on our permanent workforce, 9% of our people are entry level, and 12% is at that level 4, with 0 at level 5. When I presented this to the board, and again Geraldine's hand went up, is this really what we want? We are a developmental country. Do we really just want to deal with 9% at entry level? Probably not, but I don't know. Because then, we as a management team could sit back and reflect. Do we want to be a Google? Google just hires 3s, 4s, and 5s. Do we really want to be that? Or do I want to fix South Africa? Or do I want both? But it created such a great debate. What type of company do we want to be? And what came out of it was so interesting, because if you look at it, it's a bit of a bell curve. So what we as a team decided is, we are going to press down the bell curve in the middle and pull up the tails. So what does that mean then? We want to hire more entry-level people. And we decided to give ourselves a target of moving from 9 to 15%. Also, we have a problem on our level 4 and level 5s. So we're going to hire more kick-ass talent. And not necessarily hire them from outside, grow them internally, but get our people to that layer. And stop hiring more of the middle-of-the-road type of people. Because if we do that, I'm building the country, and I'm creating aspiration within the country, in the company, to become a level 4 or level 5. So for us, that was becoming a great debate. How do we use this metrics? And now, the right policy decisions are being made. How do we hire? How do we train? How do we do all of that? Because as a simple training exercise, you can decide now, do I want to do a lot of training at technical professional, or do I want to say for my senior technical people, I want more kick-ass best in the country people. Training is different for those guys than it is for the entry-level guys. So now we've put a rule in place. We're not funding any international travel anymore unless you're presenting yourself. You know, that's a slightly different take on things than just going to sit at a conference. So that's what we're trying. There's some exceptions to that, by the way, but mostly that is the culture we want to have. Because if we do those type of things, people start growing. So that's what we've done with Dreyfus around the mastery side of things. The second thing, okay, I need to do this, boom. You see how it spins? So, Brett, and actually it's not me, it is Daniel. So let me tell you about this other little, how is it, trouble I'm having. So we are so agile these days with Daniel that it's just in time. I almost have to stand here and edit the presentation next slide while I'm talking. That is, that is where we are. Sorry. He actually has always been like that, yes. So what are we doing around belonging? I want to play you this video. This is business and IT working together. I'll give you a sense of this just now. Just invited the executives and said, let's go away for a day, open agenda, we just talk. No agenda, we just talk. And things beforehand started to get the agenda. This person wanted to talk about that, that person. We gave them space. They wanted one every month. And we told Brenda she should please stay uninvited. And she didn't take it well, but to her credit, sometimes if the leader is not there, lots of discussion could happen. And we started with that. We had, the first time I think we had 90 people. 6 months later, how many people do you think we had? 1. Close. We had about 40. So what you see is you start with something, it works well, and then it starts tapering off. Because all of the discussions we had, the relationships are there, people know to pick up the phone. Now we're doing it once a quarter. So again, if you think, keep things always the same thing, always the same, things change. And now with that management guild, we also said anybody can come. So what happens now, grads pitch, my word. So the executives sit there and the grads sit there with them. That's fine with us, because it's open conversation. And those type of things, guilds break things. Showcase Fridays, which I never get the chance to attend, but again, open forums where people can showcase what they're doing. And I know a lot of you guys are doing that, but we underestimate the power of people who want to show off what they're doing. Industry collaboration, this Devops Days we spoke about, Fast Fish Forum, that is something BSG started, which is more for practitioners. It's about 50 people every quarter where people talk about, how do I do UML? What's the role of architecture and agile? So it's not for you fancy guys, it's more for the guys in the work. So again, that's a nice thing. We're doing a lot of around Girl Geeks, podcasts, industry tourism. That's something RMB started, where people visit companies and we do these immersions to see what other people are doing. Yesterday, I was so privileged to meet Discovery Health, to find out what they're doing. And again, the stories are exactly the same. We're all struggling with the same things. So rather than read it on Wikipedia, because none of these things are secret, let's share, let's work together. And one thing I want to say about Girl Geeks and podcast, it's actually a travesty, to be honest. If you look at the amount of females within IT, it is, I think, less than 30% industry-wide. So I run this blog. Less than 10% of people who read the blog are females. And the females tell me they're just too busy with all of their other stuff that they don't have time to read, which is also true. But there's a stigma to our industry so that females don't join. What are we doing around that? Because, to be honest, I work far better with a diversified team than just guys. Or just girls, for that matter. So, really, we have an opportunity to fix something. It's not only a South African problem. If you look in Silicon Valley, Google has a lawsuit against them that they pay males far more than females. Uber has also a suit against them that they don't promote females. And now their CEO has left because of disparaging comments. Devops is all around collaboration, different silos working together. Maybe we should think gender in that terms as well. University collaboration. So, by the way, I'm sick and tired of students. And so, by the way, some of my students are here. That's always nice to come here. So that has nothing to do with my students. We as an industry are doing a lot around students. We hire them, we train them, there's bursaries, there's all of that. What we're not doing, though, if you want to do deep societal change, you need to change the curricula. You need to change what is being taught. You need to change the mindsets of the people that's teaching things. So what we're doing is we're bringing in industry experts so that they can see what real work is like. Not that they're not doing real work. They do different things. So that starts filtering in the curricula. And again, we learn from them. We were very privileged this week to have, for a whole week, 2 academics with us. Kevin Johnson from UCT, head of department ICT there, and Grandin Gill, who's a, what do they call him? He's a Fulbright scholar, yes. And they spent a whole week with us. Now, again, I call them the guys in the comfy shoes, because they don't dress like this. They wear suits with sneakers. It's just weird. So I took them to our group, IT Exco, and they walked out with 3 case studies, of things. And Kevin came back to me and said, this was so useful, because now it gives context to what can be taught, which is the part we sometimes miss. So what I want to tell you, please adopt an academic. And academics in the room, please adopt the industry. Because the silos between us are far worse than what is even within our organizations. And, for example, the discussions with Grandin, for Standard Bank, a big theme for us is complexity. Our landscape is too complex. To listen to this man who's written ACM articles about complexity just to shoot the breeze on how he thinks about these things, money can't buy that experience. And that is what we're doing around that. Internal collaborations, something we also started is a come and see program, because we are very proud of South Africa. We're proud of Standard Bank. So we invite international banks to come have a look at what we're doing, like spend 2 or 3 days with us. We have a bank from the Czech Republic coming middle of July, and almost every month, there are either local people and a lot of international guys in the pipeline now that comes to see what we do, because these guys can actually learn from us. And when the going gets tough, when you're in the work all day, things doesn't look always great and you get tired. But when you start sharing with people, you actually look back and you realize, you say, wow, what a journey. That's great. And that is what gives you that, Afrikaans is a word, huppel in your step. What's a spring in your step? That is what gives you that little injection when you showcase and you share with what you're doing. But we spoke about a lot about people now, but I have a team there at the back that's going to be very angry if I don't say something around Devops. But this is like a Devops pipeline. It's sometimes up, sometimes down. No, man. I'm not going to say about the things which we've done, because we spoke about every DevOps day, but these are the things we are particularly proud of. The one is, I think, for us, maybe there's other people, but we've built our first mainframe pipeline, laptop to mainframe, and I think that might be a first in the country. I actually don't know what the others are doing around that. And we have 30 full pipelines in production now. Again, it doesn't sound like a lot, but the trick here is to mature those things. 1,300 nodes on share, 6,200 automated builds, yada, yada, yada. You can read that. What is important there is, in our Mike Murphy, you might see him later today, we've actually, Derek, how many screens did we put up? We have 18 screens now in the big boardroom where all of the meetings happen, with a view on each of these pipelines where they cycle through it. We don't go to teams and say, what are you doing around it? Sunlight is one of the greatest disinfectants. Suddenly, everything is up. How much unit testing? How much penetration testing? Where are you with your automation? All of those things. Blue-green deploys, complexity, lint metrics, all of those things. One dashboard. And it just cycles through that. And you can see on each pipeline the health of it. No report writing, no central PMO writing reports, no central software engineering function to try and pull all of this data together. We don't even care what tools people use, as long as there's an API that can roll up into our generic stuff, our general reporting. So that for us, if you want to know what's our name of the game, it's more automation, it's infrastructure, and it is getting these visibility on the pipelines. So my time is up, and I want to close with something, and I think it's all about people again. And I see Derek Wilcox is here. So how he introduced himself to me about a year ago is, it's really weird meetings when I'm a philosopher or a historian. So Derek, this one is for you. This is a thought experiment. Quantum physics, parallel universes, the purpose of history. So I want you to think of your own organization, and I want you to think of it 3, 4, 5 years ago. Pick a time, and copy that organization exactly across 5 universes. So what you have is 5 identical starting points, and you leave that organization. And you compare 5 years later what could have happened between these different ones. Because then you might actually realize, wow, we've actually done far better than we actually thought we did. Because all of these things could have gone wrong. Because, in a parallel universe, this guy might have resigned. In a parallel universe, you might have hired that person. In a parallel universe, you might have had this outage, and it might have affected your journey. But when you think back across these parallel universes, how these different IT shops evolve, converge, whatever. When we did the exercise for our organization, we realized every pivotal point, and there was maybe only 4 or 5 of them, which changed the direction and shape of the organization. Of those 4 or 5 pivotal points, all were related to people. Right person, right job, right attitude, right people making a difference. Tech never came up in a thing. Politics, all of those things are the same everywhere, across all of these universes. But getting the right people and getting the right culture, and normally that comes through people, made all of the difference in the world. So I want to encourage you. Devops, Agile, all of those things, critical. Underlying, to Kirsch's point, the real boss, it's all built on people. And that is my message to you today. Thank you.